not on the reactively that what is happening we should discuss, but what is happen in the future, we want to try to do this. So as you are aware that Indian professional services sector is a critical juncture. Despite having world-class professional talent pool, Indian firms remain relatively small and fragmented compared to global giants. The MCA has invited suggestions for enabling the growth of large Indian firms capable of competing with international players by facilitating formation of multidisciplinary partnership amongst chartered accountant, company secretary, lawyers, actuarian, IT professional, the management professional, and other expert capable of competing globally. This webinar is aimed at deliberating these challenges and roadblocks faced by Indian firms and seeking suggestions to enable formation and growth of domestic MDP firm. After the webinar, we will compile all the suggestions and suggest them to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs for their consideration. Friends, today's program we will discuss the key issues which are there, changes required in rules regulation on government governing different professional, regulatory safeguard to successful implementation of MDP, mechanism for dispute resolution amongst professional and MDP, international best practices, brand building of Indian firms, future pathways for Indian MDP. For this program, we have invited very prominent speakers, and especially these all speakers are unique in their own field. And the most important is MDP. We have invited the past president of Chartered Accountant Institute, Cost Accountant Institute, or Company Secretary Institutes, and present council member of CA Institute, Mr. Pramod Jain, and the past secretary of ICAI, Mr. Ashok Haldia, and they all are vocably, they are doing this type of practice. They are part of this large firm. They have planned to do this, and their vision is also bigger. So I welcome all these speakers. First, I welcome Mr. Amarjit Chopra. He is a senior partner GSA and associate LLP and past president of ICAI. I welcome Chopra sir for this program. Then we have Dr. Ashok Haldia, a former MD of PTC India Financial Services and ex-secretary of ICAI. I welcome Ashok Haldia ji. He is joining shortly. Then Mr. Mahesh Anant Athavale, he is a practicing company secretary from Kanjan Company LLP and past president of ICISI, and he is running his multi-firm since long, I think more than 25-30 years. He is doing this, so his experience will definitely help all of us. I welcome Mahesh for this program. Then we have Mr. Makarand Lele. He is a founder, Wish First Professional LLP and past president of ICISI. He was also part of a mega firm. Then we have, and I welcome Makarand for this program. Then we have Mr. Pramod Jain, is a partner Lunawat and Company and Central Council member ICAI. He is shortly joining us. Then we have Mr. Sanjay Gupta. He is a founder partner, Sanjay Gupta and Associate, and past president of ICMAI from Institute of Cost and Works Accountant. So friends, this is the structure of today's program. Today's speakers, all either they were the part of the discussion of how these mega firms concept should come, or they are doing practice in this area. So when we will listen to them, we will get definitely something great from their side. Friends, as you are aware, we are doing webinar on every Friday. So we are just to inform all of you, our next webinar is on 3rd October. That is expanding horizon on fast track merger. The government has changed so many rules, and they have come out with very simplified rules now, and it can give a different connotation on this issue. So we will discuss that how the 2 and more small firm can merge, holding company and wholly owned subsidiary company, 2 and more startup companies, 1 and more startup company, 1 or more small companies. So various permutation combination they have allowed, and we will discuss all these points in this webinar. Friends, today's program structure I just tell you. First, I will give a small presentation on this because this topic is very dear to me, and I always propagating this concept since I was president of ICSI, and I learned lots of things from Mahesh Athavale, because when I was president, Mahesh Athavale was also having the multidisciplinary. He has a CS mega firm. So we all have discussed this point. So I just want to share my presentation and give the initial framework of this particular concept of this MDP, then certain suggestions, certain issues, and then I will request all the our dignitaries to speak to 3 to 5 minutes about this topic. And then government has asked 9 questions, 8 questions specific, and 1 question is any other question that I will display on the screen, and each speaker will give their own part, and all these points we will compile it and suggest to the government for this. So friends, now I will start my presentation. So Shivam, just open this. So friends, this I just want to tell this establishment of Indian Multidisciplinary Partnership MDP firm, empowering professional through networking. That is the part which government is planning to do. So they have issued a consultative paper, and in the consultative paper, they have asked certain points. So first, their objective that how the Indian professional firm can compete globally in consulting and assurance, and how they can enable them. This is the main object of government's concept paper, which we want to discuss today. Then the MCA consultative paper suggests what is the current scenario. They suggest India has world-class professional, CS, CS, CMA lawyers, and in all big four, these are Indian professional working there. But the current scenario is that we have a very limited multidisciplinary firm, or you can say none. Then firms in India, they are fragmented, small and domestically focused. They are not on a big firm, not focusing on international market. Global market is $240 billion, and this is dominated by big four and the big consulting firm. Now, MCA identified key issues that why we are lacking behind, and these are the issues they have identified. First is advertising branding restriction in Indian firm. Cannot build global brand because you cannot advertise, and by mouth publicity you cannot reach to large public. Restriction on MDP, audit majority rule limit collaboration, fragmented regulation, multiple regulation, CA, CS, CWA, Bar Council, they have all different framework and different unknown, and there's no unified framework. Then there is a procurement barrier because government comes out with some plan, some consulting assignment, but tender requirement is so high that it is always favor a global turnover. 3 crore rupees tender, and the 5 crore 500 rupees turnover of that firm is the requirement, and no Indian firm can match this. So they are not getting any procurement. When we say Atmanirbhar Bharat, then you have to see this also, that your work should go, or Indian government's work should go to their own firm. But because of these types of things, they are not able to do. Lack of global collaboration platform. Indian firm operates in silos. No global visibility is there. So these are the points. Now, recently, I was listening to Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal. There is a podcast, and in this podcast, I was that he was mentioning the reason of India has not produced its own global consulting firm giant, and his points were very, very interesting. He was saying discriminatory tendering process, the same thing which I told you. The government and private tenders demand high turnover of threshold, ignoring individual professional track record, favoring global firms. That is the first criteria. Then restrictive professional bodies rules. Professional institute act like medieval guilds. They work on an old system. Barring multidisciplinary partnership, lawyer cannot become the partner of the CA, CA cannot become partner with the lawyer. And today what is happening, the need of the work is like this. If you are doing any transaction, you require taxation, you require accounting points of view, you require legal point of view. All these things lawyers they don't have. And so what is happening? The law firm is appointing a chartered accountant, and that person is doing work in the law firm, and slowly he realized then he do the law in from some university part-time course, and then become lawyer, and losing the CA degree and joining the as a lawyer and suggesting them. So by this process, you are creating artificially scarcity in future, because people will try to do this. If you have a partnership, I am a chartered accountant and person is a lawyer, I can both can do work together. Then brand restriction, you can't advertise. While foreign firms already established reputation. So I was just comparing, there is a 400-meter race. So these and Indian firms and the foreign firms are participating. They are already fast, and but they are starting. Their starting is taking place from 200 meters. My starting from 0 meter. So he will always win, and because they have a brand, they have a trust, they have a detailed things. Now, restrict, resistance and challenge, that is another part. The Sanjeev Sanyal has mentioned the main resistance is not from any other part. It is coming from professional body themselves. And I'm echoing completely with him that we are the responsible, not any other person, because professional bodies are thinking not the visionary basis. They are thinking on a own concept, own idea, own thinking, and own vision. Government support reforms, that is also there. I remember Prime Minister came to ICSI function in Vigyan Bhavan, and that time GST was launched. So I think to the 2016-17 he came, and he asked from the professional company secretary that I want 10 mega firm from company secretary. Can you give it to me? So everybody said yes, but no work has taken place in that direction, and today we are where we are. So not much depends on professional body agreeing on modernizing. Now, friends, this is a concept and point Sanjeev Sanyal has said. He's a member of Economic Advisory. But now this MDP, this is my subject, which I always very near to me. I'm today. What I did, I take out my slides of my 2003 presentation when I was president, and I was telling everybody to go for C-commerce. So this is the presentation of my 2003 slides when I was propagating everywhere that become mega firm. So that was a C-commerce, collaborative commerce. How about merging our practice with co-members and creating mega firm? This I was telling about the merger amongst the company secretaries, not the other. So it is about coming together to grow together. That was the concept. Next, and I mentioned that C-commerce is a where you have a brand, public relation facility, library mean knowledge management, financing at one place, corporate law, economic law, taxation law, WTO, international law, IT, and management consultancy, all collective together. If you do this, then quality of service, speed of service, cost saving, that can be there. So that is the part which I have given, and this is my old slides which I have taken out. And I mentioned also that what are the benefit of mega firm, the wider area of expertise, like big four is doing, wide geographical reach, firm's strength, enhanced brand equity, active networking and public relation. Because if you have a 10 partner, 10 partners have a 10 network, and they have a more relationship, so all things can come together. Infrastructure sharing is also reducing costs. Overhead sharing is also reducing costs, and close self-help group is also there. And best practice expertise management of firms can take place. So this is one point. Now, if you see the facts and figure of professional practice in India, you will shocked. There is a 20 lakh 13,081 advocates registered in India. Chartered accountant is 1,26,000. There is a practicing member. CS 11,460 practicing member, not the members. And the 8,416, that is a cost accountant, and 4,553 insolvency professional, and 5,955 registered valuer are there. So these are the respective professional bodies side we have taken. Now, if you, I'll just give you the analysis of overall India. So first see that according to ICSI, that is part of the document which government has given, they are saying out of 95,000 firm registered with ICSI, which is doing practice, 70,000 is proprietary firm. 400 firm having more than 10 partners, that is only 0.42%, and remaining between more than 1 and less than 10. So that is 24,600 firm, and that is also majority firms are two partners, not more than two. So this 25% is 20% is going to more than two partners. That's all. So the overall view, if I say 95% individual practitioner is there, 4% practitioner done two with two people, and less than 1% practice done by more than two people. That is 5, 6, 10, 20, or 30, or 100, 200. That is the status of MCA paper, and this is status analysis we have taken out. So if you go to this part, that how the regulatory things work, advocate, CS, CS, CMA, insolvency, registered actuary, these are institute, they governed by their own act and rules and regulation. That is another aspect. Then come to the next part is regulatory framework is also there, and the regulatory framework in India, that is like relevant law. What is relevant law? Allow practicing partners members to other profession, sharing of profit and pump, that is also allowed and not allowed. So much confusion is there. Next is the steps towards MDP. All these institution has done, and in 2020 they've come out. CA Institute has come out with a guideline. Cost accountant has guideline. Advocate has not taken, and their exclusive services also there. So different person has done different type of thing. That is important. Next is the just go back, Shivam. The interesting part is that this MDP rule regulatory framework has come out first time. The chartered accountant came out in 25th September 2008. CS Institute came out 26 July 2010, and cost accountant in 2011 4th February. So first time they issued paper, but till today the things are not moved ahead, very slow and not very effectively, which we can say they are the mega firm. So if you just see the companies which are there, and you will find and you will shock to see this. Just go, Shivam, next slide. Top legal MDP: Meritas, Territorial Lex Mundi, Internet Law, 30M Multi Law. These are having a 1,000, 2,000 partners. They sponsored the football tournament. They sponsored the tournaments of cricket tournament. So they are the big law firm, and they are doing advertisement. They have a brand in the world. Now, advocate were opposing this. Today, when government is planning to do this, then the Indian law firm will also face the heat of these people when they will come. Next. Then come to this top PwC, EY, KPMG, Deloitte, and other international top accounting firm we know. They're not doing accounting, they do all consulting work, and they have created a big brand. So every client is going, they can get all types of services, new type of things like ESG, you can find cybercrime, you can find cyber law, you can find. So various things are there, and they now having secretarial practice, they are having a law practice, they are doing this, and they are providing one-stop solution to their client, not only the audit, but other things also. If you go to the other company, top MDP, they are not the company which are, they are the networking, and they have a multidisciplinary people attached with them, attached with their brand. These are the companies which are popular in the world, and they have a multi people, multi offices, and everywhere you can find them. Next. So the why people do personal practice in India, that is another concept. And when we'll discuss this issue, it is very, very important. I, me, and myself approach, fear of losing identity and independence, fear of competition, trust issue in collaboration, that if I'm meeting somebody, Generalists, not specialists. We are all MBBS doctor, not the MD in um, uh, specialized heart specialist or other thing. Regional trust, the people follow on their region. Next, then come to the fear about the MD. What are the fear? What are the condoms on these people? That is also another aspects which is there. Next, so in this, they fear who's the right partner. They have a unrealistic expectation. My brand and my people, how I will do it. Fear of losing own identity. When they merge, they think that I will lose. Threat of audit independence, fragmented regulatory jurisdiction, cultural and operational integration issue. These are the things which are there. Next, then issues with personal practice, that is another aspect, like say scarcity of resource, because if you do practice individually, you don't have resources. Limited investment you can do, you can charge less fees because you can't demand premium. Dependency on few client, weak internal system because you can't spend money on this. Lack of standardization quality because you can't spend on these things because you work on survival. Limited technological advancement, that is also there because it require cost. Next, so but if you do MDP, then benefit is large. The first benefit is that integrated service, global competitiveness, talent retention, future readiness, efficiency and innovation, opportunity for a smaller firm, brand building, economic impact, professional collaboration and development, that is there which you can do this. And if you see that why big four and big law firm is successful or big consulting firm is successful, the issue is the first mover advantage and legacy. They have a brand, integrated service they offer. So a client is going there, he should not, they are not, there is no need to go any other place. All services you can get it. Global network is there because any work they want to do, you to client today they are expanding internationally, so the law of particular country require they have their setup and they can help. Brand power is there, talent magnet is there because everybody work and they desire to work in these companies because they pay more salaries and they pay more recognition and more system also. Technological innovation is also there because they spend a lot of money on this. Client is always stick, and sometimes if client is losing, then they are going around with these big four or big five. Regulatory influence is also there with these people and ability to scale up their services, that is also there. So this is one. Now, what next? Issue which need to be addressed to help grow Indian firm to international level, that is very important. That first part is that what we should do. The advertisement marketing ban, that is one restriction. Restriction of MDP, like majority of partners referred under section 141 of CA, that is also a restriction. Fragmented licensing is also an issue. Public procurement and empanelment process, standalone operation, no global collaboration platform is there, that is another problem. So the point which is very important, which we have to understand. So next point, proposed solution is that the archive rules of the professional bodies. I was just seeing this paper. In my opinion, this is not correct approach now. This is the old system, old process, old things which people have taken. So this archive rule has to change. And this rule has to not, it's just like that you are taking a old building, very old building, demolished in all part, and you just denting, painting, and doing something. It cannot solve your today's problem. You have to think what is the international scenario and how we should do this. So not the patchwork, you have to completely rewrite and completely suggest them. Branding and advertisement should be allowed, because if you have to compete with international firm, they are allowing advertisement and you are not allowed advertisement. You cannot beat out this. Yes, you can safeguard from misleading practice, and you can protect, like in USA there is advertisement there that you have an accident, there is an accident, you come to us, we'll save 50%, and this type of advertisement is against the ethical practices that you can restrict, which is not there in USA. But in our part, we can do ethical part. Multidisciplinary partnership has to be start. Now, if you start patchwork, that this is my law, this is my practice, how to do it, you cannot reach to this level. When I am suggesting this suggestion, I am saying you should not do patchwork. You should make a umbrella brand. And Mahesh has will suggest, he has come out with very good solution that I don't want to take away his original thought. He will tell, but you can make this portion separately. Today, what is happening? Multidisciplinary, neither it is a part in our syllabus, neither we are organizing program, neither we are giving creating a ecosystem, neither we are giving our members that how you can make multidisciplinary firm, that is there. So conflict between amongst, that is one part. So government, if they are allowing all the institution that you do multidisciplinary, nobody will do. I am seeing since 2003 the discussion going on. 2008 first time it came, and till today we are nowhere to compete with big firm. Shift mindset from protecting a small pond to enabling them to sail the high sea. That is one part. You should not work out that you have to just protect the pond. You have to think that how you can go to high sea and do this. You have to create ecosystem. You have to change mindset. You have to work out that people, those who are doing individual practice, you have to tell them. In India, the problem is we work on individual basis. So in my hometown, there is a saying, "Roti ke lale nahi, tarakki ke sadhan nahi." So these are the individual practices like this. You are not having any problem for survival, but you cannot grow the way the government and the way we want to talk. So when we say Atmanirbhar Bharat for everything, this area is very, very important, and this area is very large. We have to not do the patchwork, we have to do the overhauling, and we have to just demolish the building and then start from scratch and then make something which is needed today. We are restricting too much if we follow the old law. People have problem that I'm doing partnership with Mahesh, Makarand, Pramod, or other people. Then I have a fear that if something is wrong, or these people will have a doubt that if some wrong thing as I have done, so the entire firm will get problem. That thing we should work out. Then expansion is also another thing, and then too much politics in the large institutions basis is also there. So sometimes people settle scores also, that is also vision of the councils sometime is missing that larger picture, and the government is seeing, the government is thinking, and Niti Aayog is thinking, then they must do it. They impose to these institutions, not they ask their suggestion and do this. Yes, they suggest them that this is the plan, how to implement this, that they can do. Law is very complicated, tough. Conflict of interest with all three, four, five institutions is also there. They think something differently. So you know that how to solve this problem. You have to bombard them. You have to tell this is a good thing you follow. This is the ecosystem you follow. Things automatically take shape, because that is the future. Reference fees, sharing of fees, all these things are so much problem. Advertisement, I have already told, this is the problem. Overlapping issues are there. Exclusivity point is also some challenge which has to be settled down. Then complex business issues are there that has to be settled by this big firm, and advertisement of brand is also. So all these points today requires the overall things. So friends, what are, this is my opening remark. I will start with Pramod Jain, because Pramod is present council member and we all are past members. So he has some meetings, so he has joined. So we'll take his view, and then I'll take others person members view, and then we will take up each questions and their solution. So try, you should not give what suggestion you want to give to the all 8 9 points, give something, the macro view on the beginning, and then we will take up each topics again and again. So Pramod, I will start. I know you have left the meeting and you have come between, so I will start with this. Okay, my.
Thank you very much, Pawanji. All the past presidents, Pawanji, our of course Amarjit Chopra ji, Markand Lele ji, Sanjay Gupta ji, and all my dear friends, सबको नमस्ते. In fact, a very timely and apt topic kept by Pawan bhai regarding the multidisciplinary partnership. Yes, this is the current right time to go into the multidisciplinary partnership. In fact, it should have been done a few years ago itself. But of course, better late than never. Just to tell you certain aspects as regarding the current status of what ICI has done. ICI has already passed the MDP guidelines in 2021, and then there were certain amendments in 2023, and now MDP has been enabled by the ICI. Though practically, if I tell about, yes, unless the Cost Accountant Institute and Company Secretary Institute they agree, practically it is not possible. But yes, uh, legally it is enabled, and even currently the engineers can become part. Otherwise, we advocates and actuarials, there are 6 category of professionals who can become partner, and the same provision is there in all the three institutes. All the three institutes, the provision is same. Now, certain questions have been time and again raised around various apprehensions. The thought process which we have brought in is that suppose there is an MDP which consists of all the three professionals, chartered accountants, company secretary, and cost accountants. So the one question which comes is who will see its regulations, who would see its disciplinary mechanism. So simple thought process, which had been the thought process of our institute also, that the relevant institute would take care of its member. Now, suppose there is an MTP which consists of all the three professionals, and certain assurance is not done by the chartered accountant properly, then the disciplinary committee of ICI would be taking action. If the company secretary has done wrong, the company secretary institute, all the three institutes have got their own disciplinary mechanism out there. Now, so it can be handled in the current situation itself. Now, if I talk about other things like advertisement and other guidelines, yes, that actually needs relaxation in our law, in our act, all the three acts. And to be very frank, ministry is working upon that, and the views are being sought for this. Of course, Pawan has had this discussion conference webinar also today for the same. So having those views and then presenting before, of course, the MCA out there. Now, if I talk about this multidisciplinary, it the only issues which would come, which are coming, are for certain sections, current sections under the Companies Act, like 131, 144, 141. Now, suppose there is an MTP which consists of all CS and cost accountants. All works related to one entity, as per the current law, cannot be done. So, because you say if that MDP is auditor of a company, so its secretarial audit cannot be done, its cost audit cannot be done by the same firm. It cannot be done because of section 144 and 141. So unless such restrictions are removed, which has to be very careful, we have to be very careful, because then the independence is lost. So unless and an appropriate amendment is made in the Companies Act, the MDP practically may not go ahead, or the company of which I am an auditor, I would not be doing the work of the secretarial and the cost accounting in of those companies into this MDP. But I can, of course, render services of the secretarial and the cost accountancy to the other companies, So unless the view of the ministry, because that requires amendment in the act. Another position which might impact this MDP. Suppose there is a firm of company secretaries who have got 3 partners as a company secretary, and they want a chartered accountant to be added so that they can provide the assurance service also. Now, if I talk about other assurance service like tax audit or any other audit, they can do. But if I talk about the company's audit, they will not be allowed, because section again 131 says that the majority of the firm, majority of the partners of that firms have to be chartered accountants. So unless that is relaxed, of course, if that relaxation is there in the act, then only it would be possible that the audit report would be issued, if it is secretarial, by the company secretary, if it is statutory audit by the chartered accountant, if it is a cost audit by the cost accountant. But that majority view is there, a restriction only for the chartered accountants. So that could hamper the company secretary and accountant. So that also, we are making all those suggestions to them. I hope also in this discussion, a lot of points would come out, and then again that can be represented to the MCA. On this MDP, because the regulations, the guidelines are already there by the ICI, and we had certain discussions with the MC on the same. So, answer I actually had.
Pramod, your voice
You
is.
have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. So thank you, Pramod, for giving the initial remark in the moving.
Sure. Thank you.
In the moving cars. Thank you very much for your.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
Now, Amarji sir, you were past president of ICI. You have done lots of things. You're always advocating this mega fund concept. So I just want to take your view on this. Then I will go to other panelists.
So thank you, Pawanji, and of course, thank you, co-panelists. Of course, Pramod has already set the ball rolling. Let me say that this is, as you said, that when you made the presentation in 2003, when I entered the council in 1998-99, the first question that I had raised in the council was with regard to the multidisciplinary partnerships. And the progress has been so slow that one feels that what has been happening all this period. Very frankly, if you ask me, Pawan, I think the lack of trust amongst the 3 institutes has built this concept for a very long time.
Yes.
I think the 3 institutes must cooperate under all circumstances if we want to make it a success. Whatever coordination committees have been there, it has not been able to function for the reasons of ego or anything else. I think somewhere or the other, we have to shed those egos and come together for the common good of the economy, for the common good of the members. I think that's very, very important. And so far as the other part is concerned, I think we will have to distinguish between mergers and networks. I think that's one of the very important points that I will like to make out. Whether we want to grow as a part of the network or we want to grow by way of a merger, I think that's another thing that we need to take care of. To me, even being a part of the network, a network can be created of the Indian firms, and the different firms can become a part of that network. Whether these are chartered accountant firms or these are company secretaries firms, I think that will be a better proposition to my mind, rather than actually getting into the merger alone. Because mergers, the way these have taken place even in the chartered accountants, I think this is probably only for the sake of getting certain audits, nothing more than that. And these may not be the actual mergers for that matter. So to me, more important will be network. And when we talk of a brand, very frankly, Pawan, I need to actually talk about it. Whether we have been able to create brands or not, we all say that Big Four is a brand. But what Big Four has done, certain firms were coming up in India. You look at the firms which have got actually consumed by the Big Four. all these firms in Bombay or all these firms elsewhere became a part of these. These should have created their own brand, and they were capable of creating their own brand. One of the firms actually did create its own brand, but for the reasons best known, because every individual wants a greater share of money, greater share of funds, greater share of wealth. They got subsumed into the big four. I think that has been the unfortunate part of this entire episode in the country, saga in this country. And then these very people keep on saying that we need a brand. If they had created their own brand. I can talk of so many firms, which I would not like to name here, who had been doing extremely good job. They were trustworthy in the auditing profession. They were trustworthy in the tax profession. But they all got into the big four. They got merged with the big four because the promoters of those firms, the partners of those firms were getting a hefty money for that matter. I think that has been one of the pitfalls of the entire system. And the other thing that one we like to say is that our own system of tendering has been working against us. You refer to that whenever a government tender comes in, they will lay down the condition of 100 crore turnover, 300 crore turnover, 400 crore turnover, number of employees, international presence. These are tailor-made for certain brands only. Let's be very clear about it. Today also, when the government is talking of creating your own brands, there are certain very good firms in India of the company secretaries, of the cost accountants, of the chartered accountants, but they don't get the work. The work goes to someone else because they are unable to meet these criteria for that matter, because these criteria have been set for it. There is an obsession or something else, I don't want to say, of the bureaucrats or the politicians, of the merchant bankers. Some of the merchant bankers sitting abroad have been actually saying that we will fund a company, will invest funds into the company only when you go to the... It's a cartelization. Very frankly, if you ask me, I'm being blunt about it. It has been a cartelization of the various other professions, which has led to this creation. The most interesting part is, initially, it was the audit profession where Big Four came in. And the audit profession was actually subsidizing their consultancy. Consultancy came later. Now today, it is the reverse way around. The consultancy is actually subsidizing the audit. And that is where the Indian firms are suffering. If the Indian firms have to grow, Indian firms must get the work of the consulting from the government through the tender or otherwise, because we need to invest very heavily into the information technology, whatever we may say. And if we want to invest in the technology, the funds have to come. And if the funds have to come, these have to come through the consulting only. Audit is not a paying job. Even for the Big Four, if you ask me, it's a cross-subsidization by the consulting to the auditing profession. And another thing that one will like to make out is that we need to raise the resources. I think equity part, we will have to allow somewhere or the other the equity participation by the non-members. If we allow that to happen, depending upon what kind of promise this firm holds to the investor, in that case, the funding will start coming in. And if the funding starts coming in, probably the investment will become possible. Probably the branding will become possible in the times to come. I have no qualms about the advertising, very frankly. Advertising may be allowed, but if you allow today the advertising wholesale, then it goes only to the advantage of certain people. Advertising should be allowed in a phased manner and should be seen that all the firms grow together and all the firms are on the same footing so far as that part is concerned. Haldia Saab would remember that when we entered the council, Enron happened. And when Enron happened, the first thing which came up was that why Enron happened. Enron happened because of the conflict of interest, lack of independence on the part of the auditors, because the kind of consulting that they were getting, the kind of other income they were getting from the company was far more than the audit fee. That is where the problem came in. And today, Section 144 restricts that to happen, very frankly. And even in all the ethical standards, we all talk of independence. If you are talking of independence, probably this conflict of interest has to be avoided. How to do that? I think that is a major question. And that is where all the three institutes must come together and try to find a solution to this conflict of interest. I am very clear that we must come together and must make sure that the audit is done by the auditors, and the secretarial work is done by the company secretary, the cost accounting work is done by the CMS for that matter, no issue on that. We must make sure that the work comes to the reference of one client or the other. To me, the best publicity has always been the best advertisement has been the word of mouth publicity by the clients themselves. Sharing of the profits is one of the things which probably the company secretaries, ICWS, engineers, architects, actuaries will have to decide. But I will only like to say that we are all talking of the disciplinary mechanism. If at all disciplinary mechanism has to be there, if today we have a common appellate authority, why we can't have a common disciplinary mechanism also? We should have a common disciplinary mechanism. Of course, the present system, if the company secretary does something wrong, let it be handled by the Institute of Company Secretaries. If CMA does something wrong, let it be done by the ICMI. And if chartered accountant does something, but if an MBA will do something wrong, because excluding MBAs from the MDP is no good, very frankly, if you ask me. But where is that institute which will discipline the MBAs? I think we need to create that. That's an important point. We may have the institution of engineers, but in how many cases they have held the people guilty? And of course, one of the points is that in US also, Bar Council has not been in support of the MDP when the audit is being conducted. They may hire somebody, they may get it done. Bar Council in India is also against it. Institute of Chartered Accountants has allowed you to have partnership with the advocates, but the Bar Council does not allow the partnership with the Chartered Accountants. I think they will also have to be brought on the same platform. They will also have to be taken into confidence. Otherwise, how do you grow without the legal profession which you talked of to begin with? And to me, I think the biggest problem has been, in our case, I think it is applicable to everybody, the obsession with the name of the firm. When it comes to the Indian firm, there is an obsession to the name of the firm, that it should be Amarjit Chopra and Company, or it should be Haldi and Company, or it should be Pawan Vijay and Company. When it goes to PwC, or when it goes, you join Deloitte, nobody minds the name being there. And then the obsession to property, that the property should be in my name. I think all bigger firms don't have the property in their name. They are all in the rented premises. That's another issue that we need to take care of. The trust deficit has to be met out somewhere or the other amongst the partners, amongst the three institutes, amongst the various other professionals from that angle. And of course, I don't have to talk about the bureaucratic and political patronage, which goes, as I have already talked of the cartelization. And of course, the Companies Act will require an amendment to an extent, whether it's section 141 or 144. Now, in 144, what kind of changes they will like to bring in, or will they be able to make, will they be able to ensure independence in those cases? I think that's one of the important points to be seen.
Okay.
I think in Indian form of chartered accountants, at least, something that killed the multidisciplinary partnership concept has been the tax audit and the bank branch audit. Very frankly, I'm saying this.
Okay.
Because in Mufassal towns, people have been relying only on those two areas. This has to go under all circumstances. I think the reliance on that has to go. And people have to start realizing that we have to grow bigger. And in Mufassal towns, this needs to be talked of more and more, as much as we can talk of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, Mahesh, your view. My request to all the participants that we have to, the basic focus is today is that 8 points which we are there, we can discuss. So, you very shortly just give a macro. Mahesh, your point, then Ashok Haldia sir, then Makaran, then Sanjay. Mahesh, you have to unmute, please.
Thank you, Pawan, for your consistency in organizing number of workshops. Coming to the issue, I have already circulated my 4-page note to Pawan, and I hope at the end of the workshop, he will pick up whatever relevant points are there. The first point is that ideally there should be one institute. Why can't we think of merging all the institutes into one institute like Institute of Professionals? That is the best way to do it. Perhaps that will address most of the issues and concerns. Number one. Practically, it is difficult for historical reasons, geographical reasons, ego issues, and so many things. Now, the number of practicing professionals which Pawan indicated, as far as Institute of Company Secretaries is concerned, is somewhere around 11,000, and most are proprietors. So we have to move towards MDPs in stages. All of a sudden, you can't be a partner in MDP unless you change your mentality as a promoter or a proprietor. So you need to learn to match your frequencies with others, consolidate 2 or 3 PCS firms to become a mega firm. That should be phase number 1. So that will be a mega firm exclusively of company secretaries or chartered accountants, as the case may be, and then convert that mega firm into MDP. So it has to be done in phases. Next suggestion. One has to learn to compromise whims and fancies as a proprietor and learn to take collective decisions. Then you should be transparent and accountable for the decisions a partner has taken, because you can't hold others responsible. That care has to be taken. Challenges for MDP would be capital contribution by individual partners, then whether senior partners should have veto rights in certain decisions. Then one has to define very clearly what should be the decision-making process. Then how should be the revenue sharing? How are we going to make referral fees? Then whether at the time of exit, unfortunately it happens. At times people have to take an exit. Then how should be goodwill calculated? These are the issues which will have to be addressed by way of a clear-cut drafting in the partnership agreement. At the time of exit, whether the clients which were brought in, the MDP, or which were attended to by a particular partner, whether he has a liberty to take them away with him, or there is always a danger of internal competition between the partner themselves. Because, for example, I can incorporate a company while my partner also is capable of incorporating a company, and then how do we divide the work between us if all the partners are capable of rendering all these services? So these are the issues which we as individual practicing professionals need to address. From proprietor to a partnership of 2, then to 10, and then MDP. That should be the process. As far as ICSI is concerned, my own institute is concerned, they should collect some statistics, precise statistics, that how many firms are there with more than 10 partners, number 1. Number 2, there may be situation that in the past there were, say, 25 firms like this, but today they are only 15. Now we need to find out the reasons why those 10 firms were dissolved, or they were disintegrated. And the third point is that reason of disintegration should be made known to everybody, because there would be some issues, disputes, mismatch of frequencies. Then while forming MDP, all those actions or those issues will have to be taken care of. And then members should be guided properly by offering templates for partnership deeds. All those aspects of revenue sharing, decision making will have to be addressed. So these are my few suggestions as an initial remark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you very much. Your point is well taken and very interesting. And I was mentioning that the ecosystem is missing in India. If we are not discussing these types of programs, like we are organizing this program, this is a
फर्क नहीं पड़ता ना, अभी तो किसी को कोई अकाउंट दिखाने के लिए
proactive program.
किसी को
So
अकाउंट
we have
दिखाने
to
के लिए
discuss this. Ashok sir, your point, your views in 3 to 5 minutes. Then I'll come to the specific topics. Unmute yourself, sir. Ashok sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Please unmute yourself.
Right.
Right. It's always pleasure to be with you in your conference on wide and varied topics. Our pleasure of listening to Amarjit Chopra ji and also Mahesh ji. I think they have covered most of the point. I will only confine myself to the MDP and or not on the larger issue of a global network or the global firms. First and foremost, to me, is that there was and there has never been a problem as far as thinking is concerned in the three institutes leadership on coming together and forming MDP. I can vouch for it with my long experience in the ICI and interacting with the leadership of the various institutions. The problem is the politics of the profession. That's the first. The second thing, the dominance, which institutes or which profession dominates which other profession. That was the second problem. And the third problem was also, if the three professionals comes together, then how do we adjust the operational, the institutional, the legal, and the disciplinary and the other issues? To me, let me.
Ashokji, your voice is missing, sir.
Okay, now is it okay?
Yes.
Now I recall give two experience. One, I was talking the chairman of the the then chairman of the Competition Commission of India once telling me that, look, this competition commission, the competition law has mainly to do with the chartered accountants. And what really happening is that we are having the advocates coming into our hearings, and they are employing chartered accountants on 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, and they are charging lakhs of rupees from the clients. Why don't the chartered accountants come themselves and present their case before the Competition Commission of India? That's a very, very pitiable situation. Other thing is, what we know what's happening in the NCLT and NCLAT. The IPs are not going, the legal professionals are going, and we know who makes the money and who delivers and who delivers the input. The point is that when you can work, these can work as an employee with the cross professionals, why they cannot work as a partner? Now, coming back to me, it is a very simple solution. A simple solution is that the government of India should come out and change the law of all the three institutions, including the Bar Council, and making the MDP as a reality. And once that happens, then the other things can be addressed. Chopra Saab has already mentioned that, and I've been a member of appellate tribunal for all the three professions for 6 years, and I can see as to why a disciplinary mechanism for all, common disciplinary mechanism for all the three professional bodies cannot work. And lastly, and the most radical solution, which Maheshji has touched upon, is why we need to have three professional bodies which fights among each others, which clamor for the professional services, whether they have the core competence in that area or not, and we become mockery of our we create a mockery for ourselves before the government and the other stakeholders. There could be one professional body which are three wings, and let the three wings be partner together, and all those problems can be can be addressed. The fourth problem is, which is not the problem of the law, and let me come before that, the role of the institutions. I believe the role of the institutions should be minimal. They should not act more than a registry. I am very clear in my mind, because when the professions are growing, when there is a potential for growth, don't kill that growth because of the over regulations and because of the over regulatory or the procedural requirement. Let the growth take place, and then you punish those who malign the profession, or those or as the situation emerges, as the profession as the profession grows. So I would believe that the role of these the three professional bodies in terms of MDP should be very minimal. The government should come with a heavy hand, amend the laws, including the Bar Council of India. But unfortunately, the political leadership, and I have no hesitation to say, we have many past presidents of institutions sitting here, with excuse to all of them, this political leadership at the different institutions have been the biggest hurdle in creating the MDP and also the growth of growth of all the three respective professions. So somehow that has to be checked, that has to be made minimal. The last problem, which is the real problem, to me, the regulatory problems, the law problems are the secondary. Do we as a profession have a vision, wisdom, a strategic mind framework to create an MDP and to address the issues that arise out of different discipline, sacrificing everything, sacrificing the brand name, sacrificing the control over the firms, sacrifice the one man control over the management of the firm. Because when you create an MDP, then you work as a democratized process. Possibly, if we learn from the experience of all these big firms, they act more democratically as far as on the face of it is concerned. Maybe behind the back, what is happening, what is their interrelationship with their foreign firms, that could be that could be a different thing. But that is one thing. So and we need to answer, and that also goes to all the three professional bodies. The past presidents are sitting there. Whether our curriculums are preparing the simply a pure company secretary, a pure accountant, a pure cost accountant, or they are also creating a manager who can think, who can envision, who can strategize, who can implement. Now, if you do not do that, then how do you create MDP? Because you need a vision. And lastly, if you do the minimal regulations, you change the law change the law allowing MDPs, then even without those changes in the curriculum and the practical training that these professions boast to impart to their students, I'm using the word very
Ashokji, we are missing your voice is fumbling, sir. Okay. Sir, your voice is breaking. Okay.
Create MDP even within the so there.
Okay, sir. I think your voice is.
There will still be.
Ashok, your voice is breaking. So
come together and create MDP. So I will end here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I do not know where I missed it. We make the role of the institutions minimal. We change the law of the three respective institutions. Even if we do not have the... Yeah, okay, no problem. Maybe later on.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, Ashokji. Very nice point. I will.
Thank you, Pawanji.
Yeah. So you say, please, sir.
You are all the past presidents of the three professional bodies. You need to take the lead.
Okay. Yeah, Makan, your turn.
Leadership doesn't work there.
Ashokji, your voice is, they are not able to hear anything.
They have to come
Makan, please. Yeah. Makan, we are not able to hear. Makan, no.
Create that ecosystem. You still want me to speak?
नहीं सर, मैं मकरंद को बुला रहा हूँ. आपकी वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही है. but I request you stay, sir, because we are starting other questions also after Makarand and Sanjay Gupta. Makarand, please. Makarand, we are not able to hear. You just correct it till the time I call Sanjay Gupta first. Okay. No, no voice is not coming. Sanjay. So Sanjay is the past president of ICWI. So Sanjay Gupta. Makarand, your voice, just test it.
Makaran, say something so that we can confirm whether you are audible.
You have to unmute yourself, Makarand.
Makaran, speak something so that we can tell you whether you are audible.
Makarand, your voice is, I think we are not able to hear.
I think,
Sanjay
Pawan,
Gupta.
you can move to other faculty.
Yeah. So, Sanjay, please.
Haji, is I'm audible?
Yeah.
So thank you, Pavanji, for inviting me here. The best part I like is, you bring the 35 years of the people together. When Chopra Saab started, he said, I was in the era of 90s. You were in 2000. Then me and Makran was in 2010 era. Then we have our Pramodji. He was the current council member. So we could hear, for all the 35 years, what has been. And everybody said when they were in the council or wherever in the key positions, they tried their level best to bring the MDP. So despite best of the people, still we could finally be emerges, nothing has come out actually. And reason we have listened to many people, what could be the probable reasons? Maybe, we being a professional, we are so comfortable living in the silos. Everybody is in their own comfort zones. So they're enjoying that space. And another reason, Pavanji, what I could feel, there was an opportunity given to all of us. When the Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India came in 2006, so all three professionals was a part of it, rather even the MBAs, because one of the gentlemen was talking about being an MBA, how to regulate them. Even MBAs are now the lawyers are also the insolvency professional. Despite that, again, three disciplinary committees were being formed, three different institutions being formed. So today also, among the chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary, lawyers, MBAs. So though we all are doing the same job, registered with the Insolvency Bankruptcy Board of India, but everybody is competing among each other. Everybody has opened their own, different companies and they are working on it. So that shows, nothing has changed on the ground realities. Maybe the reason could be, because every institution or every profession want to remain, themselves or as a profession, as you was rightly, I was looking at your data where you've done a very deep research. What it could come out, only the 400 people, 400 firms have more than 10 partners. So when we are talking about MDP, which is a segment are we talking about? If you look at the concept of Big Four, it is currently prevalent in only in the chartered accountancy profession. But if you look about the company secretaries and the cost accountants, they may be very good renowned firms, but still that concept of Big Four is not taken a shape as of now. So first of all, at least, being, company secretaries and Makranjis and all other professionals, we at least come with some Big Four names, among the chartered company secretaries and the cost accountants. So now come another, I think I was impressed with this thought, even the Chartered Accountant Institute and our institute starting with the concept of not of the mergers, rather of the networking partners. So to begin with, can we look at it as a possible and probable option where, we can network to begin with. A cost accounting firm can network with some arrangement. We already have some agreement within our institutions. Other may also have it. So can be a networking partners concept can be started. So that's one way when you have to look into. And if you look at, there's a lot of barriers, capitalization, as we were saying, all the same institution, why we want to form an NPP. Finally, whom we want to compete with. As you could see, as you were also, was a strong believer in the Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think I was working a lot in the power sector, telecom sector, but finally I started realizing, the tenders which were coming, it was having such a clause where we can't be participated. Somewhat we got debarred either through the turnover or, they should be our employees. All the people who have 40 years of experience should be the employees of the firm. So that was not practically possible. So very carefully, very, willfully and, very, maybe whatever the reason could be, it has been designed and drafted in such a way. And if you look at, especially if you look at the people like, especially in the cost accounting and the company secretary, most of the people are sole proprietorship firms. So they also feel, how they can be benefited being a part of the MDPs. And another fear, because another day having a session in the institute, so people were feeling less collaborate, but somewhat if something went wrong, what will happen to our clients? So that also the comfort, that clarity, people also looking at, when we are losing our identity, let's say after 3 years, 5 years, due to whatever the reason something went wrong, how to go about it. So in my opinion is that, again, the question comes, when we are about to form an Apollo hospital, where, there are different doctors. Maybe you can say a heart surgeon, he gets a maximum, or he has a maximum presence, or, is very treated as a very different surgery or something, but there are other professional bodies also. So what is the share, if you look at the practicing chartered accountants vis-a-vis the practicing, as per your data, the number of practicing CAs was close to 1.25 and there was not even a 10% of it. So now 90% is joining, another 10% each. And the biggest everybody would like to join today is the lawyers, the legal profession. Well, if you look at the globalization and, now we are grateful to Mr. Trump, that disruption he has brought. So now people start loving disruptions, whether you like it or not, like it, if you have to be in a global platform, disruption is a buzzword. Every country, we can see the new collaboration coming, whether now we are getting closer to China's and other countries. So same way, when we are starting, when the big four start coming to India, and somebody was mentioning, the cross subsidization. Now from consultancy to audit is getting a cross subsidization. So we have to look, where we are heading towards finally. Because, the thought process which is coming, especially like in a cost accounting, we're very different subjects. When we are joining a big four, then where I stand. And the concept of, who is having the majority, that's a big buzzword, whenever we are drafting. So a lot of issues came in, which firm will having a majority. Whether one will be, other firms will be one of the, very small partners into that, how to go about it. So like whatever the egos are there, or maybe I'm not saying egos, or we can put a better word to that, maybe another good jargon. So if you look at the numbers of one institution vis-a-vis the numbers of other institution, how to bring a parity between that, whether they would like to be on the similar mindset and the similar platform. Though that could be one of the reasons, other two institutions feel little uncomfortable joining a big shark. It could be because, I'm being very blunt here. So similarly, as you said, the legal profession, their bar council is not permitting. And we could see, the most of, if you look at the chartered accountant, cost accountants, or the company secretaries have moved from the core profession to the legal profession. Probably the reason that the opportunity was global, we can join the global firms. And even in India also, the professional fee which they were getting, the responsibilities, the less fear of the NAFRA. So all these things have taken a shape, so the point is the disruption among these three professionals already started, whether we like it, admit it or not. So it's a matter of time. The small firm, will remain very small and they remain to their respective arenas in a very small areas. If we have to open a mindset, whether there should be one institution. I remember I've given a presentation to Jaitley Saab a long back when he was honorable finance minister, why don't we bring a concept here? Why you need so many people qualifying as an entrance examination? If you look at the result of the three institutions, that is more than 60 to 70%. Do we need so many chartered accountant, cost accountant, and company secretary? Why our entrance examination should not be such like an IITs or IIMs? So once we have a strategy there, once there is a thing, one who is entering into this profession, the minimization should be there itself. And why not we have an MBBS before, and after you have done basic degree, like an institute of profession, from MBP, if somebody want to specialize in taxation, indirect taxation, or a costing, or into a secretarial, then as an MD or a super specialization, he can get into that. That's the need of the hour today. Then only you will, insecurities will go away, egos will go away, and people. Today, what is happening? When I'm being an insolvency professional, when I'm auditing, I could see a chartered accountant or someone, who is certifying a net worth certificate of 500 crores. And he's a small proprietorship firm. He does not know what is the international taxation, what is the transfer duty, or nothing about it. In a small place, in a small town, sitting there, he signed a certificate in a COVID on a Zoom meeting only. So does we, the compliances which we are looking at, the fraud which we are looking at, isn't needed any cost accountant, he can sign as an individual also a 10,000 crore company or a 1 lakh crore company or a chartered accountant without having just passing an examination. Can he be an expert in the transfer pricing? So till, these barriers are brought to the profession, a super specialization are brought into, and we have to look at whether the legal profession, they don't practice into everything. Like even the doctors, they don't practice into everything. So till we brought all these things together, again, maybe another MDP will be happening, another in 40s and 50s, as we already gone 35 years. Maybe till we bring this clarity, another 10 to 20 years will pass away. That's my initial thought for the same.
Thank you, Sanjay. Very nicely covered this point. Makaran, are your speak. No, voice is not. Makaran, I think you log out and then you. No, voice.
I work very closely with Makaran. He used to be very vocal. Otherwise, today.
Okay, so let's do one thing. Makaran said we will take up at the last. I should start the main thing now. So they have asked 8 questions. So let's take up one by one questions, and that will be a fine tuning for this. So first question is, suggest specific change in rules regulation administrating different professional in India to ensure Indian firms develop into global competitive players in the field of consulting. Amarjit sir, I will start with you. So very shortly and very briefly, every speaker will give this point. I will compile it because basic point you have given. So no detailing, just give points. I will compile it, draft it, and share with all of you so you can modify it and you can add some example when we were submitting to the government. So Amarjit sir, your point.
No detailing, certainly. I think if we are really serious about it, probably one will have to look at Section 144 of the Companies Act, and so far as and 141 also, because the Companies Act must provide that the 3 institute professionals can be partners. I think that's very important at the end of the day. And
Okay.
It should permit, very frankly, the regulations must permit that these 3 professional bodies, because Sanjay has raised certain issues, rather than being that who will be doing what for that matter, you can create divisions within that particular firm which will deal with cost accounting or with the company secretaries or with, and I think the profit sharing should be linked to that. That's very important. So I will leave it my thought here right now. And of course, advertising will have to be allowed to certain levels. There's no doubt about it so far as I'm concerned. You can't live in whatever situation you have today. There's no way that you can live. And of course, branding, we have not been allowing logos, etc., etc. I think all those things have to go.
Okay. Ashok sir.
Sir, am I audible now?
Yeah, Megan, so you just suggest your point in this.
Sure. So just I'll take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry for the trouble. I think the message from the paper is very clear. It is serve in India and serve by India. And the objective of the paper, if we see the first 2-3 lines, it is little bit worrisome. It is enabling growth of Indian big firms to compete with the international players. And that is the worrisome idea, because are we trying to create or replace the big firms, with the another set of Indian big firms, and then what is going to happen with the individual expertise, the individual practitioners. So I think simultaneously we need to take care of and we need to safeguard the small firms, mid-sized firms, as well as the protect the interest of the individual practitioners. I have already made a suggestion on this paper that multi-qualified professional practice should also be allowed. So maybe if I am holding 2, 3 degrees, I am a lawyer also and a chartered accountant. Then in my individual capacity, I should also be allowed to practice in multidiscipline if the MDP is going to be allowed. Um, and simultaneously, one more important aspect I will suggest that from where the business pipeline is coming to these big four or the big firms currently in India. We need to research on that. Government need to provide us the leads on that particular business pipeline because that is connected with the mindset of the clients. Mindset of the client is to engage the consultants who has been mandated by their parents in most of the cases, and therefore this particular business pipeline is moving towards the big fours. So if we create the MDP in the process, whether we are going to divert this particular business pipeline to these MDPs, that question we need to really answer in the entire process. Forget about, and of course there are issues about the structuring and everything, but that could be sorted out at the institute level, that could be sorted out on the individual level. But the most important factor, if the business pipeline is coming to the MDP, then the practitioners would be very, very interested in doing the MDP and taking Indian firms to a next level. I think for the time being, this is my opening remarks.
Thank you, Magran. Thank you, Mahesh. Your suggestion of specific changes in rules. So now you can give your suggestion, which I have kept for you only.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first suggestion is till the time 3 institutes merge, on the central and regional council of each institute, there should be one representative of other institute. This will help coordination. That is my first suggestion. That means on CA Central Council, there should be one CS, one CWA, and like that. Next is coordination committees should be activated mandatorily. They should be given a direction that one meeting in a month so that the agenda is taken up and proper follow-up is done. Third suggestion is exclusive areas of independent professionals be retained because that is one of the concerns. While non-attestation services can be given by MDP while working together. Next suggestion is if financial audit is done by MDP A, secretarial audit by MDP B, and cost audit by MDP C, then there should be a rule that there should not be a common partner in these 3 MDPs. That will protect that concern of exclusivity. Fourth point is there are some conflicting rules. Say, for example, generation of UDIN. Chartered accountants can generate UDIN within 2 months after they sign, while we as practicing secretaries are required to generate UDIN on or before the date of signing. Now, when we talk of MDP, there should be a similar identical provision for various procedural aspects like this. These are some of the quick issues. As I said, I have already provided a list of other suggestions to Pawan. Thank you.
Okay. Ashok sir.
Pawanji, for me, the solutions are fairly simple. All these coordinations and committees and all, they have failed. All institutes' initiatives, willingness, commitment to MDP have failed. This we have seen for ages. These won't work. Simple change in the law in all the 3 professional bodies. And one thing can be that a chartered accountancy firm can have 51% share of chartered accountants and 49% share of other professionals. Now, when I'm saying the MDP, why are we confining it to CA, cost accountant, and company secretaries? And when you deliver a assignment, a consulting assignment, you need a multiple and a various kind of expertise. So, to that extent, they have to be accommodated. The third thing is that these question the problems and difficulties in sharing cost, profit, allocation of work, procurement of work, dominance. These are all managerial issues, operational issues. These are not to be dealt with law or need to be think about. A person like many persons like Pawan ji or the Amar ji sitting here, if they have given the flexibility by the law, I'm sure person like them can resolve all those operational issues. And tell me one question. Recently a mother of a leading industrialist was hospitalized. There was a team of 50 doctors of different disciplines. They can work together and they can treat that lady. No, I wonder what are we talking about for the ages and years and decades together of a multidisciplinary partnership between three partners. This is nothing to me. It's a question of a fear of dominance. It's a question of politics of institutions. It is the lack of commitment, willingness, vision of the leadership of all the three institutions that is responsible, and also, unfortunately, the government is not able to act. Government itself lacks commitment in allowing the Indian firms to grow for whatever reason it wants. So these are my 2-3 simple suggestions. So the suggestions have a less relevant for the law, but more relevant in terms of how do we put into place the MDP and actually start it working.
Okay, Sanjay.
Yeah. To my mind, as I've already said earlier also, I think if to begin with, the networking concept really works to begin with. As I fully, some of the points of Haldia ji, if you look at wherever, there is a consultancy, still I don't feel in conflict today even. Everybody is very comfortable. All the three professionals working together, maybe in a same firm or in a private limited or somewhere. The issue of MDP is only for the audits, where the signature is needed. Otherwise, there's no problem at all even today. So till we have a clarity who is going to signing a cost audit, what kind of, so all arrangements come from there. If you talk about there's a government nominee concept, why the government brings in a CA institute, a chartered accountant can't be a government nominee. So idea was that, company secretary or a cost accountant will go on the committee, on the council of the CA institute, or the vice versa. They will come on the committee so they can do this coordination part. So already this was one of the reasons, why this the point coming as negative, that was a more positive, but finally nothing happened on that also. So my viewpoint is that until unless, the basic mindset, otherwise, every council comes, every year you have a committee, but finally 1 or 2 meetings happen, nothing comes out of it. So
Okay.
to begin with networking concept, if you begin, at least you're starting with something.
Okay. So, Sanjay, thank you very much. Now I will close this particular questions because everybody has said, no, go back, Shivam, go back. Now, my view is, which I started with the point, if I heard everybody is talking from their own understanding, own root, and own realization. All are correct. All are right because they have seen, they have realizing, and they are doing. Mr. Haldia was because he was in a different way and he is writing also. So his point is very revolutionary. My point is that if we will start like this on our old platform, how we will do this? If I'm giving this work to Genjis, that forget everything, you are the new generation, please tell us what to do. The way they will come out, they will not see what Makarand is saying, what Sanjay Gupta is saying, what Pawan Vijay is saying, what Mahesh and Amarjit sir. they will come out with a new thought, new things, and their problem statement is, we want to create MDP in India. That's all. How to create it? What law do you have to change? You change it. This is the structure. I have to compete with the other part of the world, and this is the structure. For doing this, what law you want to change, change it. So my suggestion is that everybody has given their point of view. We must not rebuild the furnish the old building. We must think that this is the international system. This is the happening. How we should come out. Section 144, 141, all these changes, if they have to change, they have to change it. And the point is sharing cost, other thing. These are the all managerial point. I'm agreeing with Mr. Haldia that these points should not come automatically. We are managing other thing also we can do. And interestingly, I'll tell you, the IBC is also one of the example of multidisciplinary work which is happening and which is doing something on the similar line. Though it has a problem, but they are doing. So my suggestion is that I have jotted down all the points. We must do it from scratch, and we should suggest government that you impose, these are the things, these are the law, all three institution has to follow this, and for this whatever changes you have to do, you have to do. Otherwise what will happen, CA institute will think from his own side, CS from his side, and advocate will go in other way. So that way, this is one way which we can do, and Genjis is the right person who can advise us, not we all. So I'll go to the next topic, next point of view. The point which you have suggested, I will compile it and share it with the government. Now, next point, which is very, very important, and which regulatory safeguard are required to successful implementation of MDP? Amarji, sir.
I think we have to have a common disciplinary mechanism. I'm very clear on that. You cannot have different disciplinary mechanisms. And I think Haldia Saab said it very clearly. We have a common appellate authority, and I don't know why and how it happened that NAFRA did not bring into its ambit the company secretaries and CMS. Why not? I think when you are talking of chartered accountancy, we are all talking of the financial reporting. And when we talk of the financial reporting, every part of it is included there. I think these two institutions should have been a part of NAFRA. Why it didn't happen, I don't know. I think there has to be a common regulatory mechanism. You cannot have three different regulatory mechanisms, and that is why I will concur with I think I'm forgetting the name, and Dr. Haldia, who said that there should be one institute. I can tell you, in 2000, Mr. Arun Jaitley, when he was the corporate affairs minister, he said it, that we should have one institute. And at that time, institute had actually supported that particular view, but the other two institutes didn't agree. I personally feel that it's not a matter of dominance. I fully agree with one part, that if at all the elections are to be held, there should be one company secretary, one cost accountant, one. Let's forget about it, that there should be dominance by one of the professions. But there has to be one regulatory mechanism. And I think that regulatory mechanism can be given by the government. It has to be imposed by the government. Otherwise, the politics will continue to happen.
Yes, absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. Okay, Magesh.
Regulatory safeguards. Which partner will be held responsible for misconduct should be clearly laid down. Number one. Company secretary should not be held responsible for the mischief or misdeed by other partners. So is the case with chartered accountant or cost accountants. Second is architects, valuers, engineers, advocates should be also brought into the umbrella of MDP. Such MDP would be critical for IBC laws. That is what I observed. For a resolution professional, he would need all these services. Third point is, we should not allow MDP to be other than in LLP form. It should be always LLP and not a normal partnership firm for obvious advantages of LLP. And the fourth suggestion is, if we are so keen to maintain exclusivity, then MDPs be allowed to be formed to render only non-attestation services to begin with, so that that confidence is built, and later on one can allow them even attestation services. Thank you.
Makarand, please speak. Makarand, unmute yourself, please.
मकरंद के साथ ये प्रॉब्लम क्यों हो रहा है? He's a techno-savvy man.
Okay. Makarand, you just manage this till the time I will go.
Sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, first point here is that in the secretarial auditor and the cost auditor seen in the statute book remain as individuals. So first thing is that we should we should introduce the concept at par with the statutory auditors for firm of a secretarial auditor and firm of a cost accountant who can do the audit. The second point is that apply uniform provisions on appointment tenure, so that majority partner concept also needs to be removed. Then introduce common auditing standards for all the professional bodies, so that there should not be any overlapping in the process. Harmonize unique identification document. Mahesh sir has already mentioned about that. Then rationalization about unified compliance audit framework. Insert a common audit governance chapter under the Companies Act, so that everything would be harmonized. Introduce the statutory protection to all auditors and certifying professionals for actions done in good faith, and we should not be dragged in the promoter's dispute. Introduce the concept of cooling period for all statutory audit appointments, and that should be at par. Introduce the concept of professional service category on GEM portal for competitive bidding for auditing and consulting assignments, and introduce the professional service procurement policy at the government level, because that currently is not in existence. Introduce single repository filing concept on the compliance portal of the Government of India under all statute and central regulations for companies, LLP and other entities to avoid multiple filing. These are my suggestions.
Ashok ji.
Pawanji, what I'm saying, what you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
What safeguard you need? To me, no safeguards are needed. When just I gave you an example, 50 specialist doctor treating a lady together. Now, what safeguard they would have had? Whether the law had any safeguard for that. And I give one example, when there were a lot of mischief in the microfinancing, the RBI held a meeting for what kind of regulation we should bring in to regulate the microfinance industry. And I gave my very categorical view. Why are you killing the microfinance before it is, before its growth? So what safeguard you need? All are professionals. They can manage their affairs very well within the institute, within the firm. If it is an accounting job, then they should be able to decide who is the partner who should be held responsible and who should be in charge, and for what area company secretary or engineer or manage or the MBA should support. And I agree with Mr. Chopra Saab that they will have to bring in under the one umbrella of disciplinary mechanism. You cannot, even for that matter, MBA itself, if for assessing a business risk, before starting an audit, I am using a service of a risk specialist who is an MBA. Why he should not come within the purview of NAFRA? That's a very common sense question. And unfortunately, the way again, I'm blaming, because I have a habit of blaming myself first before blaming anybody else. So again, I will blame the professional bodies for their politicking or for their meddling with the government, lobbying with the government and the government itself. So to me, no safeguards are needed. Let the firm manage their affairs. decide their own rules of business, and they would, and they are rational persons. They would decide how audit work a firm would make the company secretary accountable and responsible and held for disciplinary action. It's very obvious that it is a chartered accountant who does it, he would be held responsible. So to me, no safeguards are needed.
Okay. Okay, sir. Sanjay?
I think most of the points are covered. So already you have the similar views. So let's take it forward.
Okay. So next question is, what should be the mechanism to settle dispute among professional and MDP? So, so let's very quickly, we should jot down these points. Amarji, sir.
So I think this is the partnership deed which will lay down the rules. There cannot be any other mechanism.
Okay.
The partnership deed will lay down how these disputes will be resolved. And I think the exit route, if at all is to be given to somebody, that exit route should be given. An honorable exit should be given to somebody. I think that's very important. Disputes are bound to arise, but those disputes should be settled by way of the partnership deeds itself. I think the partnership deeds must provide that, rather than partnership deeds being vague about it.
Roti kaise khayega?
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Mahesh.
Two suggestions. Panel of arbitrators, mediators, and conciliators should be created by the institute. And the members should know the profession. Arbitration should be mandatory in the partnership deed. A template can be provided by the institute itself. And that's it. So that litigations are ideally avoided once you have a template defining in the initial remarks I mentioned about the decision-making process, individual role, responsibilities of each partner. Once they are well defined, chances of dispute are less. But assuming there would be disputes, and there could be, arbitration should be the only solution mandatorily, and don't leave it to the MDP partners.
Okay.
Panel should be created by the institutes. Thank you.
Okay. Ashok sir.
Pawanji, when we start a business and we have 4 partners, whether does the law suggest us as to how we should settle our disputes? It is when the 4 professionals are coming together, they would have a partnership. They would have a partnership agreement. They would among themselves would decide as to when the dispute arises, how that dispute will be settled among themselves. So that's leave it to the partnership firm and the partners themselves. Where is the question of law, or where is the question of the institute regulations coming into play? They will decide, they would swim or sink together, and they would decide how to swim together. And if they are not able to, they would sink together. Let them sink. That's a natural process. So I don't think we need to do anything for disputes. Not much of spoon feeding is required. And that we should only allow MDP through the law and forget about everything else.
Okay. Okay, sir. Makarand.
Yeah. Sir, first thing is that harmonize the professional misconduct schedules under various acts, because if there is some gaps in between, that should be harmonized. Rationalize the punishment provisions for professional misconduct under different regulations of professional bodies. Then MCA should form MDP disciplinary and dispute board under MCA, and that should be a centralized body for professional misconducts of the MDP. And professional misconduct cases of partners of MDP to be handled only by the centralized regulator, and the signing partner should be held responsible for the professional misconduct by the respective under the respective regulation institute, and not the entire or there should not be a provision for selection of a partner for the purpose of facing the professional misconduct, which is currently there in the law. Thank you.
Sanjay.
Even currently, if you look at the commercial disputes, for the decades, the firms are resolving within themselves. Where is the commercial dispute come? Where is there's no role of institute to walk in. They cannot tell partners how to settle the things, when is the commercial things are there. Whether it is through arbitration, mediation, or they enter into the courts, it is up to them how to settle that. The moment it comes any misconduct or breach of any professional ethics, definitely then only the role of the institution comes. Otherwise, for whether it's a business or a practice, for years, there's a hell lot of disputes among the partners. And if you, as a, being been a part of the committees and all that, we have never get into any commercial things. That's among the partners to go to the courts and settle themselves. So I don't think so why it is coming. There's nothing new, it's already there in place.
Okay. Okay. So, friends, next, the point is that arbitration clause should be there because this is a thing. But I'm also agreeing that when you are making these rules, you should have a template also that what are the points so arbitration can be smooth. Remaining things which is coming out, which is not normal, that people can handle themselves. And one arbitration process is a common for all three or four, five, whatever institution is there should be there. Next question is, are you aware the successful MDP? So I'm not asking this question from everyone. Ashok sir, you have done research on this. So can you suggest us the successful MDP model in other countries?
Pavanji, you will find every country, USA or Europe or the UK.
Okay.
So if you refer to my articles that I've written, I have
Yeah.
said that while and I have made a fun of the exposure draft that the government of India has brought in. I said how the Big Four has evolved, all MDP has evolved outside India over the years, over the decades, or in some cases over the centuries. And then we should create that ecosystem for the MDP which can work in India and MDP of Indian firms with the firms outside India. And then accordingly create that ecosystem in India. So there are not a dearth of experience that is available. I mean, and as far as I know, no law or any other country regulates how the MDP should function. They would only provide the ethical code of conduct which a profession should follow. Nothing more, nothing beyond.
Okay. Okay. Okay, now because this question is a general question, so every Mahesh has written, Makarand has written. I'm going to the very specific question, which is very urgent and required for everybody's correction. What measure can the government professional body take to ensure Indian firm develop into global competitive players? I'll start with Amarji sir. Your for question number 5.
Can you repeat it?
Sir, what measure can the government and professional bodies like CSCS, NCW, and Bar Council take to ensure Indian firm develop into globally competitive market to player?
I think we have already answered this question in a different form. If
Yes,
you
sir.
really ask me, whatever institute and the government will have to do, including setting up an ecosystem wherein Indian firms are given equal treatment in the tendering process or in the government work. If you provide them the work, only then internationally also they can say that they have handled this particular work. What happens is that if you go abroad or even if you come to India, somebody will ask you a question whether this firm has handled this particular work. If the tendering process does not allow that kind of work to be handled by the firm, how that experience will come in? I think that ecosystem will have to be set in wherein the Indian firm actually does that particular kind of a work. That's very important, and then can become global.
Okay.
You cannot compete globally till the time you have handled the work in India also. I think that's very important.
Okay. Ashok sir.
Pawanji, my feeling is that if you want to make the Indian firms globally competitive, there has to be activity, action, and outcome at 3 levels. One at the government level, the another at the professional body level, and third, and to me is most important, is at the profession or the firm level. Now, if you see my article that was written 2-3 days ago, I have addressed all these three issues. Sum and substance of these issues is that a simple thing is that how existing global accounting firm is working in India, and how they have been able to work with other firms outside India. Now we have to see that and provide that atmosphere, that conditions in India. I think Joe Amarjit Chopra ji, whatever he said in the beginning, and I possibly, I listened his entire address in the beginning. He has covered all those issues which domestically we need to we need to do. The advertising, not the blanket advertising, promotional advertising, these measures in a following a corridor or conditioned approach, we should allow. We should allow the Indian domestic firms not to compromise technically, but when they compete, at least kind of a price preference or some kind of preference that the government gives to MSMEs or new undertakings, that should be given. We need to ask ourselves, as if one engineer can over a period of 5 years can become a unicorn, why an Indian new chartered accountant can can create a global firm in the next 5 years? Now, if we can find answer to these questions and work, then I'm sure a global competitive firm can work. You may laugh at me as when I say that I'm suggesting a new chartered accountant creating a global firm. I have an answer how he can be allowed, how he can be provided institutional support, from where he can mobilize capital, how from where he can mobilize technology, how he can create a networking, how he can create a team, how he can work as a team approach, and how he can create an ecosystem around himself in order to become globally competitive. So I think answer to your question is very long, but I think my article which I given recently covers all these aspects. We and to me the action requires three level: government level, institutions level, and also at the firm level. Minimal intervention at the government level and the institution level. Let the market forces play their role. Their role of the government institution is only on the ethical aspects. Nothing more, nothing beyond. And act as a registry. Registry like you do the registration of patents, etc., etc. That's my answer.
Okay. Mahesh. Alex. Mahesh, unmute yourself, please.
Only 2-3 points. Present barriers are number one, not allowing members of a particular institute to share fees with the other member, not allowing advertisement or solicitation, not allowing a foreigner to become a partner. And there are strict provisions about opening branches. So if there can be some relaxation on this, perhaps one can think of MDP. Thank you.
Okay. Makaran.
Specific suggestions for to become a global competitive player. One is allow Indian firms to enter into cross-border alliance and MDP tie-ups with foreign firms subject to reciprocity. Create reciprocal recognition rules in all institutes, including Bar Council of India, so Indian professional can seamlessly practice in the jurisdiction that allows entry. Permit foreign equity participation in Indian MDPs up to a regulated limit, ensuring Indian control but access to global resources. Thank you.
Sanjay?
Yeah. So, finally, all the institutions have to really build up the capacity, because finally, whenever we are moving into that area, some areas has to be reserved again. I'm saying the government need to support. Even today in India, there was no semiconductor which was being built. The government come with the policies to set up our things here. Similarly, even with the power minister last week, we are seeing all certification which is being done here in India has been done by the foreign bodies. So till you allow Indian bodies their certification to be accepted globally, how is going to set up the new benchmarks? We are talking about Atmanirbhar. Until unless you say, for this certification, Indian firm has to certify, and this is the reserve area for this kind of things. Till you support this kind of a thing, this never happens. Otherwise, for a startup to become a unicorn, you need the backing of the government and the regulators in Atmanirbhar. So it's a mere word. We are talking about how to build up. As Chopra sir was rightly mentioning, till you allow the people to get into that experience, how they're going to experience it. Today, if you look at most of the firms, the top firms and top big fours, they do some leadership award or something to technically by one name, they're doing the branding. But how we can do it? Till we form a private limited or something. So there's a clear clarity coming who is the behind it. Everybody knows if X Big Four is doing this award, they're the auditors, their client comes. But any of the Indian firms or like our cost accounting or company secretary have that privileges. That clarity, I think that support we need.
Okay. So thank you, Sanjay. Now the basic point which everybody is talking about, we should create ecosystem number one. And the ecosystem has to work with government, with 3 or 4 institutions, as well as the members. We should guide them that how they can form the big mega firm. We should handhold initially that what are their fear, how to handle this, the experience of others, the example of name, example of branding, example of the sharing, partnership, all other things, and including do's and don'ts. We should do this, and the commonality in all aspects should be there. Now I'll go to the next point, which is this is this is very important. What laws in India which are preventing us to provide what regulation or governing board is preventing Indian firm to provide service in India on the lines of global consulting firm? Amarji sir, starting with you, sir.
I think, Pawan, it is again a repetition of the question, if you really ask me.
Yes, sir.
Because see, we have been saying that when we talk of multidisciplinary, and so far as India is concerned, it is not that Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants that debarred any of the firms to go global. But globally, if it is not recognized, that particular CA firm is not recognized, what to do? So I think similar problems could have been there even in the case of the company secretaries and CMS. But if you float a consulting company today, right, like I will tell you in Dubai today, what is happening, that if you go to Dubai and you form a entity, you have to share some of the profits with a local citizen there who may not be a professional. Whereas we say that you can share the profits only with a professional whose qualifications are recognized here, basically, by the institute. So that has been one of the big. But today what has happened, that some of the chartered accountants have gone to Dubai, they have gone to the other Middle East countries also, and they have floated the companies there rather than doing anything else, and given certain shares to the local, which may be 2%, which may be 5%, which may be any percentage. I think what is more important, the moment you say that you are going to form an MDP, you are going to allow sharing of the profits with the non-members, basically of the respective institution. And when you go to MBAs, you go to actuaries, you go to other people also, we must keep it open. I think Ashok said very clearly, why should we keep any of the professions outside this purview? We should have it. And particularly MBAs, to my mind, has been one of the most important, so far as the consulting part is concerned. IT people, for that matter, are going to be one of the very important part of the entire thing. So sharing of the profit should be allowed by the by the various institutes with the non-members. I think that's very, very important. And if you can do that, in that particular case, you may be able to go global, whether it is Middle East or it is US or anywhere else. Of course, I think the quality will be the most important aspect at the end of the day. Your recognition of the quality will be the most important aspect.
I think, Pawan, we have covered all the questions. We can wind up the session.
Sir, one small point.
Pawan is offline.
Yeah. No. Sorry. So I think we have covered all the point, all the question in different way. So it is better because time is also time to close this also. So what I'll do, I'll ask everyone which is missing, like advertisement and other thing, 2-3 points are missing. So anything other than what you have discussed, what other person has discussed, let's close this way by our comments. So I will start with Mahesh, with you first. You please give your comments on this.
No. I think it was a fantastic discussion. You will compile it. You can forward it to all the panelists. And in case we have to add anything, we will do that. And then you can forward it to ministry. That's it. That's the best way to do it.
So the best way is whatever suggestion has come, we have prepared this, and VK Agrawal ji is working on this. So we will compile it and send it to all the panelists first, so they can add their point, and then we can suggest. Okay.
So one point here. I think there are 2 points which I wanted to say. One is that MCA may introduce the institutes may introduce the accreditation and rating process for the firms. Then there is a harmonization and is required on the registration of trade names and granting of names for the firms. That should be competitive. And the last point is that multi-qualified professionals should be allowed to practice in all professions which they hold. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Amarjit sir.
No, thank you, sir. I think we have already covered almost everything.
So any point is missing out, please tell us.
No, if at all it will be there, we'll definitely write to you, sir.
Okay.
That's all
I think it was a very lively discussion, and the discussion is not with the panelists, but discussion with the person who has handled this, faced this, fought for this, and then successful or unsuccessful is there on the institute front, but on their own front, they have done something to do this. But at the last, my point is that if you create this ecosystem, if you create this point in our syllabus, if you create the programs on this, if you create the everybody that what should we do for making a mega firm, if these are the points, these are the issues, if we can handle it and we can help them, then more and more people can come together and work together and make it more successful. And I'm agreeing from Mahesh's point of view that don't go for immediately MDP. Let's start from today the mega company secretary firm, chartered accountant firm, and the cost accountant and advocate firm. We are missing there also. So let's do this and then merge it simultaneously with the government. Yeah, Amitji sir.
Pawan, I think all the 3 institutes who have an obligation to its membership, particularly who are in the Mufassal towns, not necessarily in the cosmopolitan cities, to take this program on MDPs and seek the views of the members there as to how do they feel. And let's propagate the concept of the MDPs there more. Let's propagate the concept of the mergers or networking there more than anything else.
Yes. So I think, thank you very much, Amarjit sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashok sir, Haldia sir, Ashok Haldia sir, Amarjit sir, Sanjay, Makaran, Mahesh. Everybody has given his point of view, and I think we have received so many points, and with this we can suggest government very solid, strong points, and it will be helpful. So this program is not just to give a knowledge, but this program is to share their experience, their thinking, and making road ahead for other professional also, and making India Atmanirbhar in this area also. So thank you very much to all.
Thank you, Pawanji. Grateful to you. Bring us all together. You're like a Gen Z to all of us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. So friends, this knowledge journey will continue. Our next webinar is in fast track merger, and that is a new things and helpful for the country on a simplified ease of doing business. So see you next Friday, 4 to 4 o'clock. Till then, good night.
Okay. Good night.